Good morning, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that introduction about the open channel flow we have already discussed in the last class. Okay, so and we are also discussed the syllabus. So today we will start our class. Okay, so and before we start, just I need help from your side. Actually, that attendance thing. Okay, it's very difficult to keep record, when it's recording. So I if anyone can help me out, it will be a very helpful. Anyone who can keep records of attendance for today's class and give it to me by WhatsApp or any means.
Okay, sir. I'll take the attendance for them.
Who are you?
Stephanie Banks, sir, the
Okay,
CR of the classroom.
thank you very much. Okay, just keep record and let me know after end of the class. Okay, just you can
Yes.
give post in that WhatsApp group also, no issue. Okay, thank you. So about open channel flow, we have already discussed what is open channel flow, but still, see, open channel flow,
Sir, I
yeah.
can't hear you just now.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Can you?
Okay, thank you.
In here.
So open channel, so the passage in which the liquid is not completely enclosed by a solid boundary, but has a free surface exposed to atmosphere is called open channel. What does it mean? You can see the figure 1.1, the right hand side figure, that is a example of open channel. So that line you have seen, it's a boundary of the channel. This is the boundary of the channel. Okay, this is the boundary of the channel, and you see the topmost portion of the channel is exposed to atmosphere. Okay, or in other words you can say it's a free surface. So that's why this channel is called open channel, and the flow flowing through the channel is called open channel flow. Okay, understood? So what is open channel flow or open channel? Open channel is a channel where your topmost portion is exposed to atmosphere. Okay, it's not completely closed like our pipe. The pipe flow, in that pipe our whole pipe is closed. Okay, in open channel our topmost portion is exposed to atmosphere, or you can say it's a free surface. In open channel, the uh, the flow flows due to component of gravity, or you can say the main force for which the water is flowing, it's due to gravitational force, whereas in pipe we use some extra pressure. Okay, so this open channel flow is also called free surface flow. Okay, because we have free surface at the topmost portion. Okay, so it's called open channel flow or free surface flow. Okay, so this hydrostatic pressure and all these things we will discuss in the next chapter. Okay, in details. So I'm going to skip now this hydrostatic pressure and free surface. Okay, that figure 1.1 left hand side one. Okay, so in first class we have already discussed, or I have already mentioned, that open channel we have two types mainly. One is natural and another one is man-made, or you can say artificial open channel. So natural channel, for example, is river. Okay, And in artificial, you can consider irrigation canal, drains, okay, then that flume, then your sewer system. So those are artificial or man-made open channel. Okay. So next topic is our examples of open channel flow. So here flow in natural rivers, those are natural. Then irrigation canal or sewers or culverts, okay, those are your man-made or you can say artificial open channel. Okay. See here, one option is given in 5 that flow in pipes not running full. That means the topmost portion should be exposed to atmosphere. Then only we can say it's open channel. Otherwise, it will be a pipe flow. So don't be confused. Here it's written not running full means your half or less than half, and the topmost portion is always exposed to atmosphere. Then only we can say that is an open channel. Otherwise, it will be, if it is closed, then we can say it's a pipe flow. Okay. So what are the forces? So first, definitely it's a gravity. Next one is your inertia force. Then third one is surface tension. This third surface tension, we mostly neglect surface tension. In pipe flow, we consider surface tension, but in open channel, though it's present, practically surface tension is there, but it's a very small, so we mostly neglect the surface tension part. Okay. Then we have viscous force, and last one, that is friction, resistance due to friction. So this friction again we are going to discuss. Okay. I think we you people have already studied in your third semester about Manning's equation or Say's coefficient. Those are related to your resistance due to friction or roughness coefficient. Okay. So this part again we are going to discuss in later classes, so don't worry. Okay. So next is this is important. This is very much important. How difference or what are the difference between the pipe flow and an open channel? Okay. So before discussing this, I want to discuss about uh, with you about total energy. In last class, I asked you one question: what is a difference between total energy and specific energy? Okay. So let me discuss this figure 1.2 right hand side figure. Okay. This is your open channel flow. So we all know that open channel, when you're talking about natural channel, that is river, is always flowing from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. That is it's coming out from hilly areas, then it landed to a plain area. So that's why if you see in our northeast India, we have lots of hilly states, and if you see Assam is somewhat a plain area. So that's why in Assam we have flood problem. Okay. So that flow is always coming from hilly areas to the plain area. So if you see here in this figure 1.2 right hand side one. So here we have considered two sections. One is this number one, and here this is number two. Number one is in higher elevation, and number two, section number two is in lower elevation. So that's why the water is flowing from 1 to 2. Okay. Here RL is higher than RL of 2. Okay. So that's how water is flowing. So what we do in first section, we measure depth of flow and we consider as Y1. Okay. In first section, we measure depth of flow and we consider Y1. And then we measure the velocity. Okay. And we consider as V1 for first. Similarly, for second section also, we measure the depth of flow and we consider Y2, and we measure the velocity for the second section and consider its V2. Am I clear?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we need to find out the total energy for first section. Okay, so now I want to say you what is total energy. So total energy is nothing but when you add kinetic energy head. Okay, kinetic energy head, not kinetic energy, it's kinetic energy head. Okay, next one is potential head, or you can say potential energy head, and the third one is datum head. If you add all the three, you are going to get total energy, not total energy line, you got total energy. Okay, if any section, if you add kinetic energy head, potential energy, and datum head, then you are going to get total energy for that particular section. Okay, so now see, and similarly, if you want to find out the total energy, for section 2, you have to add all the three. That is your kinetic energy head, then potential energy, and then your datum head. See, when we calculate total energy, we have to calculate with reference to a line. Okay? That line is called your datum line. Okay? We have to calculate this energy, total energy, with respect to a reference line. And that reference line should be same for both section A and section B, or you can say section 1 or section 2. Okay? So we have to consider one reference line, that is called datum line, and that line should be same for section 1 and section 2. So now if anyone asks you to what is datum line is nothing but it's an imaginary line beneath the ground. Okay, you can put here or you can here, but this reference line should be same for both the section 1 and section 2. Okay, so this is your total energy. Once you calculate the total energy for first section and you calculate the energy for second section and you join both the point by a straight line, that is called total energy line. Okay, that is called total energy line. If you join the total energy of section 1 and section 2 by a straight line, that line is called total energy line. Okay, clear? Okay, so and then in the first class I asked you one thing, what is specific energy, or how it differs, or the specific energy is nothing but if you calculate the energy with respect to the bottom of the channel. Okay, that energy is called specific energy. That means in specific energy, just a minute. Okay, your students are waiting. Okay, now it's okay. Okay. In specific energy, we have only kinetic energy head. We have only kinetic energy head. We have kinetic energy head and potential energy head. Okay, if we add these two, we will get specific energy. That means if we calculate energy with respect to the bottom of the channel, or you can say bed of the channel, then that energy is called specific energy. If we calculate energy with respect to the reference line or the datum line, that energy is called total energy. Okay. So in specific energy, we have only two, that is your kinetic energy head and potential energy head. In total energy, we have kinetic energy head, potential energy head, and datum head. All the units, that is your kinetic energy head, that unit is in meter. Okay. Here y1, it is in meter. Your z1, that is your datum head, it is also in meter. So all the unit is in meter. So that total energy you are going to calculate, it will be in meter. Okay. Or the specific energy you are going to calculate, the unit of that specific energy, though we are termed it as energy, we are getting in meter. Okay. Suppose 10 meter of water, the total energy of that particular section is 10 meter of water. Okay. So our aim is to differentiate between the open channel and pipe flow. Okay. So why I'm discussing this thing, this is very important, and you should know the difference between your specific energy and the total energy. Okay. And what is hydraulic gradient line? If you join the water level in first section and the water level in the second section by a straight line, that is your hydraulic gradient line. It's GL. Okay. See, when I am saying this is a kinetic head, what is the expression for kinetic energy? Any idea? I think you all know that kinetic energy is half mv square, right? It's a very familiar equation. Everyone knows that kinetic energy is half mv square. Okay. So that m is your mass. Okay. You know, weight is equal to mass into acceleration due to gravity. Okay. So weight is mass into acceleration due to gravity. So what will be the mass? Mass is equal to weight by gravity. Okay. So here in kinetic energy, in place of mass, we can write weight by acceleration due to gravity. And here we are considering not kinetic energy, it's kinetic energy head. That is kinetic energy divided by weight. So we have to divide this by weight. Okay. So mass we replace by W by G by this expression. So this weight will be cancelled out, and the remaining term will be V square by 2G. Okay. V square by 2G. And if you substitute here the velocity equation, meter per second, unit of velocity, and acceleration due to gravity, meter per second square, the ultimate unit you are going to get in meter. Okay. So don't confuse. This is a very common questions in the interview. Okay, what is the unit of total energy? Is in meter. Because people think that it's total energy, it's an energy, so they used to say some joule and all. Okay. But the actual one is meter. Because all the terms, if you say that y is nothing but your depth of flow, we measure depth of flow in meter. Okay. That z value is also in meter. So whatever the energy you are going to get, you are going to get in meter. Okay. So don't confuse. So that's why for kinetic energy head, it's called V square by 2G. I think you people have studied about this one, Bernoulli's theorem. There also you used to write V square by 2G. Okay. So this is the process for, or this is the derivation from where it came V square by to G. Okay. Okay. Say in pipe flow, see our whole subject is based on open channel flow. That's why that's a figure open channel we are discussed in details. Okay. The pipe flow you people have already studied in your third semester, so we are not going to discuss this pipe flow in details. Okay, as this is not relevant to our subject, but to differentiate between the two, we have discussed the primary thing or the basic things. So in pipe flow, our kinetic energy head is same as our open channel flow. But when we talk about potential energy head in pipe flow is P by W. W is your specific weight, or you can say unit weight. Okay. But in open channel, our potential energy is depth of flow, Y1. Okay. So in pipe flow, we have P by W, that is your specific weight, or you can say rho into density multiplied by acceleration due to gravity or specific weight. Okay. So you can write also P by rho into G. Okay. It's up to you. Or you can write small w, that is specific weight. So in pipe flow, your potential energy head is P1 by specific weight or unit weight. Okay. Other all are same. But in open channel, your potential energy head is Y1. Okay. So here also, so we will move on to the next, and that is your differentiate between pipe flow and open channel. So here you can see first one, the height of the total energy from the datum is Z plus P by W plus V square by 2G. Whereas for open channel, Z plus Y plus V square by 2G. The only difference is the potential energy head, the middle portion. For pipe flow, it's P by W, that is specific weight, P by specific weight. And for open channel, it's a depth of flow. Okay. The second point, the liquid runs full. That is, in other words, you can say no surface, free surface. And open channel, we have free surface. That means the topmost portion is exposed to atmosphere. Okay. Then flow takes place under pressure. Here, open channel, it due to the gravity. Okay, in the flow direction. Say in pipe flow, our cross section is constant throughout the pipe. Whereas in open channel, if you consider a river, the width of the river, the depth of river, it's all changing. Okay, so it's not constant. So that's why the analysis of those things is very complicated. Okay, as compared to your pipe flow. So analysis of open channel is very complicated as compared to your pipe flow. So definitely hydraulic gradient line, it is as same, but that potential energy head P by W here, and for open channel it's Z plus Y. So that is the only difference. Surface tension force that we have already discussed, we consider in pipe flow, and where in open channel that surface tension is we mostly neglected. Here it's written only considered at a very low depth. When the depth of flow in the open channel is very low or very less, then we consider surface tension. Otherwise, we neglect that surface tension. Next topic is types of open channel. Okay. See, you people have already studied types of open channel flow. Okay. So that also we are going to discuss in the next topic. But here this is open channel. Don't confuse. One is open channel and one is open channel flow. Open channel is the channel where topmost portion is exposed to atmosphere. And open channel flow, the flowing through the open channel is called open channel flow. The flow flowing through the open channel is called open channel flow. So there are types of open channel. The first type is based on whether the channel is man-made. Means that means the whether the channel is artificial or natural. So that definitely we have already discussed, we have natural channel and we have man-made, or you can say artificial channel. Example of artificial channel is canals, irrigation canals, drains, etc. Okay. So now if you consider a man-made channel or artificial channel, that irrigation canal may be of, because those are man-made, okay, so maybe of rectangular channel, maybe of trapezoidal, maybe of triangular, maybe of parabolic. So second classification is based on the shape of the channel, that we are constructing that irrigation canal of what shape. It may be rectangular, so that channel can be differentiated again by this shape of the channel. It may be rectangular, trapezoidal, triangular, or parabolic, or exponential, or circular. Then you have one option here, wide rectangular. You people have any idea about wide rectangular channel? Any idea about wide rectangular channel? If you people have idea, then we are not going to discuss. You have any idea about wide rectangular channel?
No, sir.
Okay, okay.
No, sir.
See, suppose this is your rectangular channel, okay? Is it visible, right? The drawings?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Fine. Suppose this is a rectangular channel and this is the level of water. Okay, this is the level of water. The width of the channel is 100 meter. Okay, and the depth of flow is 1 meter. Okay, so this is a rectangular channel where the width of the channel is 100 meter and depth of flow is 1 meter. Okay, now if you find out the weighted perimeter, what is the weighted perimeter equation? What will be the value for weighted perimeter? 1 plus 100, then again here is 1. Okay, so depth of flow will be here 1 meter, then there will be also 1 meter. So weighted perimeter means this 1 meter in addition with the width of the channel, then again depth of flow, that is 102 meter. That is your weighted perimeter. So see, the width of the channel is 100 meter and your weighted perimeter is 102 meter. So it's almost same. Okay, so that wide rectangular concept is when you have such situation, that is the weighted perimeter is almost equal to your width of the channel, those channel are called wide rectangular or wide parabolic. It depends on the shape. Okay, wide parabolic or wide trapezoidal. Okay, but condition should be weighted perimeter is almost equal to width of the channel. Okay, so this is your wide rectangular concept. So when someone you say that wide rectangular, then you understand that this weighted perimeter of that particular channel is almost equal to the width of the channel. That means your depth of flow is very less as compared to the width of the channel. You can see here your width is 100 meter, whereas your depth is just 1 meter. Okay, so that's why your weighted perimeter and your width of the channel is almost same. Okay, so this is your wide rectangular channel. Okay, where your weighted perimeter is almost equal to width of the channel. Okay. So these are the shape. It's showing here: rectangular channel, trapezoidal, triangular. This is parabolic, and then you have circular, and this is wide rectangular. Okay, where the depth of flow is much less than your width of the channel. Then we have compound channel. So those things we are going to discuss in later classes. Okay, in details at compound channel. So and this is, see, this is your natural channel. Why it is complex? Because we don't have defined shape. That's it. What we can say, it's a irregular shape. So that's why our open channel flow is much more complex than your pipe flow. Okay. So moving on to the next classification. See, there are open channel, types of open channel. First one is based on the channel is man-made or not. Okay. Second one is based on the shape of the channel. And the third one is the boundary characteristics. So boundary characteristics is two types. One is rigid boundary and one is mobile boundary. So mobile boundary is for natural channel where we have erosion and all. So this mobile boundary, it depends on unlined channels, or you can say it is also for rivers. Okay. So this thing based on boundary characteristics we are going to discuss in next chapter. Okay, in details. What is rigid boundary? What is mobile boundary? Okay. What is line canal? What is iron line canal? And then we are going to design also for line canal and for unlined canal in next chapter. Okay, in unit 2. So now we are going to just skip this thing and we will discuss in details in the next chapter when we are going to design the line canal and unlined canal. So what is unlined canal and what is line canal? So just for your reference, always remember mobile boundary is for your rivers. Okay, and rigid boundary, if you fix the boundary of the channel, suppose you have constructed a irrigation canal. Okay, you excavate the artwork, then you fix this shape by providing some brick wall or by providing some concrete. Okay, so those things are called line canal. That means you are fixing the boundary. Okay, and what is the advantage and disadvantage, those things are also we are going to consider discussed in the next class. Sorry, next unit. Okay. So and the fourth classification fourth classification is based on the cross section and slope, that is prismatic and non-prismatic. Say what is prismatic? Suppose you consider a pipe, you can see that cross section is throughout the pipe is constant. So those section is called prismatic when your cross section is remain constant. Okay, and non-prismatic when it's not constant. Okay, like suppose you consider a river where we can see that our slope of the channel or the width of the river, okay, all are not fixed or not constant, it varying. Okay, so those are called your prismatic and non-prismatic channel. Suppose if you constructed a canal, irrigation canal, or okay, let's take an example of irrigation canal. You can see it may happen that your cross section of the canal is constant. Okay, so those canal we can consider as a prismatic open channel flow. Okay, but if you consider the natural channel, you cannot consider it's a prismatic channel. Okay, to simplify your calculation you can consider prismatic, but practically it is impossible to consider as a prismatic channel, that river. Okay, because we all know the width of the river is varying, the slope is also varying, all the parameters we can measure all are varying with respect to space as well as time in your natural river system. Okay, so always remember our river system is a non-prismatic channel. Okay, but in some derivation, what people do, they consider it as a prismatic to simplify their calculation, and they did some calculations. Okay, so it doesn't mean that they consider it prismatic. It is a prismatic channel. Practically, it is a non-prismatic channel. To simplify their calculations, some people consider as a prismatic channel. Okay, so here it ends your types of open channel. So next is types of open channel flow. So first classification is open channel, and second is types of open channel flow. I think those things you have already studied: steady, unsteady. Do you want me to explain again about this steady flow, unsteady flow? Because I think you have studied in third semester, or your concept is clear. Then I'm not going to discuss. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you want me to discuss this steady flow and unsteady flow,
Yes,
or
sir. It's better to explain.
Sure, in brief.
can anyone tell me what is steady flow? What do you mean by steady flow?
Velocity is constant from space and time.
Velocity is constant.
Throughout the space and time.
Okay, okay, okay. It will be difficult here to explain by drawing some drawing. Okay, but I will try. Okay. See, we all know that river is flowing from upstream to downstream. Suppose this is your bottom of the channel. Okay, this is your bottom of the channel, or you can say bed of the channel. Okay, water is flowing here. Sorry, water is flowing. Okay, this is the level of water. This is the level of water. Okay. See, in this river, we consider two sections. Here one, okay, and okay. See, this is a higher elevation than this section two. So the water will be flowing from higher elevation to the lower elevation. Definitely. Okay. So now come to the first point, steady flow. Okay. You come to the first section, you measure discharge. Okay. You measure velocity at first section. Okay. At first section, you measure discharge, you measure velocity, then you measure depth of flow. Okay. Understood? Then you wait for another 1 hour. Then you are measuring the same parameters in the same section. That is section 1. After 1 hour. After 1 hour. After 1 hour, again you measure discharge, velocity, depth of flow. If all the parameters are same, then we can say it's a steady flow. Understood? We are not moving to the second section. Okay. In first section, we are going to measure discharge, velocity, and depth of flow. And then after some time, let it be as 1 hour. After 1 hour, again you are measuring at the same section and you are getting the same value of discharge, same value of velocity, and same value of depth of flow. Then that flow you can say is a steady flow. That means the flow is not changing with respect to time. Okay, it remains constant. Okay, so that is your steady flow. If those values are not same, then we can say it's a unsteady flow. Understood? Okay. 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 It's very simple. Okay. See, that's why you don't have to memorize those things. Okay. Steady flow. You can draw a diagram and see in first section if you measure discharge velocity and depth of flow, and after some time it may be 1 hour, 2 hours, or one day. Okay, that depends, or after 15 minutes it may be happen. After 15 minutes again you measure this discharge velocity and depth of flow at the same section, and if those two parameters or those parameters are same, then we can say the flow is steady flow. Or if they are not same, then we can say the flow is unsteady flow. Okay, so that's what is here written. The flow parameters such as discharge, velocity, and depth do not change with time. That means it kept constant with respect to time. Okay, so this is your steady and unsteady flow. When you move back to your uniform and non-uniform flow, here here again, suppose this is the bed of the river. Bed of the river, the water is flowing from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. Okay, so here also we consider two section, one, two section. Okay, okay. So in first section we measure discharge, velocity, and depth of flow. Okay, in first section we measure, similarly we measure discharge, velocity, and depth of flow. Then we travel some distance. We travel some distance, maybe 100 meter or 1 kilometer. It depends. Okay, we travel some distance towards downward or towards downstream. Then we make another, consider another cross section, and here in cross section 2 we again measure velocity, discharge, and depth of flow. If the discharge velocity and depth of flow of section 1 is same as the discharge velocity and depth of flow of section 2, then that flow is called uniform flow. Understood? If our discharge velocity and depth of flow of section 1, okay, is same as discharge velocity and depth of flow of section 2, then we can say this flow is uniform flow. Or else if it is not same, then we can say that flow is non-uniform flow. Okay, okay. So very simple. Your steady and unsteady, it depends on time. Okay, in uniform and non-uniform, it depends on space, or you can say distance. Okay, so in steady and unsteady, at the same section you are going to measure discharge velocity and depth of flow, and after some time you again going to discharge measure those parameters and see if those parameters are same, then we can say steady flow. If those parameters are not same, then we can say unsteady flow. In uniform and non-uniform, In first section, you measure all the three parameters, discharge, velocity, and depth of flow. Then you travel some distance towards downstream, and you consider another section, and you measure the same parameters in that particular section, and those parameters if same in both the section, then the flow is called uniform flow, or if it is not same, then the flow is called non-uniform flow. Okay, so our meeting will be end up in another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so we are going to stop here and we will continue in the next class. Okay. It's almost about to end our today's class. So do you have any questions regarding this? You can write in the chat box also if you have any questions. Okay, so if you have any questions, then you can ask me, or you can ask me in the next class also. Okay, on or you can personally approach me also if you have any doubts. Okay, I'm always available.